Hi, this is John of Trish and John's Gardening Channel. Today is December 6th, 2015, and today we wanted to talk about growing wheatgrass. We want to take you through the step-by-step process, what we do to grow the wheatgrass. We grow it indoors, typically during the winter months. Kind of helps us extend the growing season, if you will. Not only that, it actually is beneficial. We juice the wheatgrass. We'll be showing you how we juice it a little bit later on in this video, but there's many health benefits to drinking wheatgrass juice, and won't get into those health benefits here in this video. If you look online, Google it, you could certainly get many articles on the benefits. So this video is really meant to show you step-by-step process of what we do to grow the seeds and then harvest it and actually juice it. So first up, step number one obviously is to get yourself some really good organic, certified organic, non-GMO wheatgrass seeds. This is 5 pounds of wheatgrass seeds. We get it from Amazon.com actually. This happens to be Power Grow Systems. You can get any wheatgrass seeds. You don't have to get that. You probably could do a lot better as far as price. That cost me about 12 bucks on Amazon for those 5 pounds. Next up, what you want to do is get a large jar. You want something that's fairly large. This is about 1/3 of a gallon. I got this at a local food shop store. You could use mason jars, anything like that, but you want to have something that's fairly large. What we've got here on the bottom here, you can see we've got 3/4 of a cup of wheatgrass seeds. And you may say to yourself, well, why do you need such a large jar? Well, what's going to happen over the next 3 or 4 days as we let these seeds grow and germinate in this jar, they'll grow and they'll get about 2/3. It easily will fill this jar up about 2/3. So you want quite a large jar. For the amount of seeds that you're putting in there. So first step, again, for a 10 by 10 trays. Now, I just wanted to mention we grow our wheatgrass typically in 10 by 10 trays. We use 2 10 by 10 trays in a 10 by 20 flat. The 10 by 20 is pretty standard. We like to do that just to kind of control the amount of grass that we're growing at one given time. And so to grow in a 10 by 10 tray, we use 3/4 of a cup, maybe a little bit more than 3/4 of a cup of seeds, and we fill the jar with water, and we're going to let this sit overnight. Let that sit probably around 10 hours, maybe 12 hours, no more than that. Overnight. Do it before you go to bed, get up in the morning. And then the next thing you want to do, and this is going to happen for the next 4 days, is you want to drain the water and you're going to let the seeds sit. So let me cut the shot. I want to show you exactly what that looks like. Okay, so what we've done here is we've drained the water. Now this is on day 2 actually. Again, you want to let them sit overnight on day 1. And for the next 3 days, what you want to do every morning and every evening, you want to come in, fill the jar with water, and then drain the water and let the jar sit kind of upright like this. You want the top. One of the things I like about this jar is I took off the gasket that's typically in here and I let the jar drain. You can see it drains here into this catch basin, and you basically want to let that sit all day long. In the morning, again, you want to rinse them a couple times. I rinse them twice, fill the jar, drain it, fill it again, drain it. And I'll do that in the morning and I'll do that in the evenings and let drain. Now, I've got this under the light. I'm going to put this away now, actually. You want to put this away every day for days 2, 3, and 4. You want to put this away in a dark, cool place. You don't want this to see daylight. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to show you the next step. And again, 3 days, fill with water, drain every morning and every evening, and then let it sit in a dark, cool place just like this and let it drain. Okay? I'm going to cut the shot and I'm going to show you exactly what we do for the next step. Okay, so now on day 5, what you want to do, now again, we plant in 10 by 10 flats, and we put it in, we've got 2 of them in a typical 10 by 20 tray. We like to do that again to control the amount of seeds that we're growing at any one given time. You can see here 10 by 10, and we also put 9 holes. They don't come typically with holes in the bottom. Some do. The ones that I got on Amazon did not. So we drill 9 holes in the bottom, about an 1/8 of an inch diameter holes. And what we do now is we're going to fill this up with about 1 inch of good potting soil. Now you got a line here on the tray. These trays come with a line. I fill it, just above that line, kind of as my guide, being an eighth of an inch or so above that line. And what you're going to do next, you're going to fill it with potting soil, and then the seeds that have been draining, and you've been draining for the last couple days, for the last 3 days or so, you want to go ahead and you're going to be spreading the seeds over the top of the soil like this. Again, the tray that you see here has been sitting for just about 24 hours now, so it's actually started to grow. If I get a close-up shot, you can see some of the grass actually starting to grow here, which is exactly what you want. You're going to get that for the next 3 days or so, and you just spread the seeds out, around, nice and even on the top of the soil. Again, you get about 1 inch of soil, and you want to cover that tray with, I use paper towels. Some people, I've seen them use newspaper. I prefer paper towels, but I take two paper towels actually, and I lay it over the top of the dirt and the seeds, and I wet this. I also wet the soil, and I let this drain through until I get some liquid in the 10 by 20 tray on the bottom, and then I pour that off, so I know that it's good and wet here. And again, for the next few days, probably 2 or 3 days, I keep my eye on this. I keep this wet. I come in here, I have a spray bottle. Let me kind of show you that. I've got a spray bottle. I'll come in here and I'll just spray that 2 times a day, maybe even 3 times a day, depending on your situation, how hot it may be, how humid it may be in your house, etc. So again, I do this, and then I take this tray and I'm going to put that in a cool, dark place, just like we did for the last 3 days with the jar with the drained seeds. Cover it, and we're going to leave this wet, and we're going to leave it in a cool, dark place. And then after about 3 days, you're going to see these little seeds. Again, this is about 24 hours. So it doesn't take long for these things to start sprouting. These things will get another 1/4 of an inch, maybe 3/16 of an inch higher. And then on day 7 or day 8, I take the paper towel off and I put it under the grow light. Okay, so pretend it's day number 8 here. These have been growing. I'll take the paper towel off and I'll put it under the grow light. Now, I've got a grow light, T5 light set up, and I put this about 18 inches, the lamp. I don't put it any closer than that. As you can see, as they start growing, they'll find their way to the light. You don't have to, as you would maybe on tomatoes early in the season growing in a house, you don't want to put the lamp as close to the wheatgrass as possible. You don't need to do that. So again, I've got that easily about 18 inches, the light source above the tray. So again, just about on day 7, maybe day 8, I'm taking this off and I'm going to let them start to see the light, and they're going to start photosynthesizing. So if I move over to the next tray, now this tray here, this has only been, let me see, this is day 10 for the tray that you see here. Okay, so that would be day, let's say number 7, and in just about 3 days, believe it or not, it should look like this. Okay, so that's tray number, I call this tray number 2. The way I planted these is this is tray number 1, tray number 2, tray number 3, and then the jar, which will be tray number 4, and I kind of do them in series. So what I do is I grow every 5 days, I plant another tray, and in that way I've got a succession of wheatgrass that I'm constantly cutting down. Actually, the one on the left here, this is actually day 14 for this guy. So believe it or not, this is about 5 days behind it. It's actually catching up quite well to the one on the left. So again, this is tray number 1, and we're going to be juicing that today. So again, I've let this sit under the grow lights for the last, I don't know, 7 days or so. Once it gets past this stage and I uncover it, you just let this thing sit. And I water this probably twice daily. I water it pretty well. You don't want to soak it. And anything that runs off, it runs off into the 10 by 20 tray. And I pour that off. Again, you don't want it sitting in standing water. You may get some fungus and whatnot that grows, and you really don't need to do that. It's grass. It doesn't need all that much water. You just want to leave it so it stays damp. So one other thing I want to show you, if I can get a good shot, is how these grow as far as the grass, or the roots I should say. You can see there, 1 inch of soil, but it's really filled in and covered, really covered, root bound the bottom of that tray, which is fine. You typically wouldn't want that for, let's say tomatoes or something like that. That root bound condition is not what you're going for. But with wheatgrass, the fact that you only got them in here for about 2 weeks time frame, the fact that they're root bound, it does not obviously matter for what you're going to be doing with these. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, once I cut this down, and that's kind of the next thing that we're going to show you, once we cut this down to use this for juicing, number one, we could go ahead and let this grow again. We can get a second growth out of this. I sometimes do that. I don't always do that, depending on how much wheatgrass I'm looking to get. But once we're done with this, I could now take the dirt with all of these seeds and the roots, and I put that in my compost. So I'm getting the benefit of juicing the wheatgrass, but I've also got something that's beneficial for the compost, and I just throw that in the garden for this, for the coming season. So again, let me take you upstairs. I'm going to get the juicer. We're going to take this tray. Again, this is 2 weeks old, and we're going to go ahead and juice it. Okay, let me cut the shot and I'll show you that. Okay, one last thing I wanted to show you before we go ahead and actually juice the wheatgrass is we wanted to show you this Excel sheet that I made. And the reason why I did this is to track the trays that we make. Again, we use 10 by 10 trays, and we plant every 5 days or so. So it gets difficult once you get 2 or 3 trays in to remember exactly what day you're on and when to water or when to plant and that sort of thing. So just wanted to show you here, we've got, tray number 1 is in this row here, the top row. Then we go down to tray number 2, tray number 3, tray number 4. Okay, so tray number 1, which is the one on the left in the video that we've been showing you, again, that was planted 14 days ago. You can see I call that day 1, and that's the soak, that's the S there, and I mark it off. That was on a Monday 2 weeks ago, and you can see I marked that off. Now day number 2, which is, we put these R's, that would be rinse. So day number 2, we stop soaking it and we start to water or rinse. Again, rinse twice daily, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 3 days. And then the P here would be plant. Again, 1 inch of soil, cover it with the seeds, just spread it across, and then we start to water. And you can see we water every day, twice daily or so, up to about 14 days, at which point we harvest. Now, in order to keep track, if I come back to day number 5, so when I plant tray number 1 here, okay, that's the time when I go ahead and I start tray number 2, okay, and I come back here. You could follow the arrow if you will, and that's day number 1 for tray 2. So I start to soak on day 1 overnight, and we rinse and keep them in a cool, cool dark place for these 3 days, and then we plant tray number 2, and so on. Okay, so tray number 3, day 5 for tray number 2, we start to plant tray number 3. So we follow this, and it's kind of nice because, as I said, after a while, when you get into tray number 2, tray number 3, you start to remember or forget actually how many days in you are for rinsing. Was it day number 2? I don't know. Was it tray number 2 and tray number 3? So this is a really cool way that I found to track these. And again, I mark them off here. You can see the red X's. Again, tray number 1, we're done. We're going to be harvesting that today. Tray number 2, which is just about, it's actually Sunday evening at this point, so I've got to mark that off. But that would be day 10. And then tray number 3, which is the one here that's covered with the paper towels, that's actually on day number 6. Actually, it's in the evening, so tomorrow or tomorrow night or maybe even day 8 is the day that I'll uncover it. I'll take the paper towel off, and then for days 8 through 14 I'll go ahead and let that sit under the grow lights. Now the other one, tray 4, it's actually not in a tray just yet. I soaked it overnight, and here it is. It's actually Sunday afternoon or evening, so I'm into the rinse cycle, and I'm going to be rinsing for the next 2 days. Again, twice daily. I mark it off, and then in a couple days we'll be planting. So anyways, I just wanted to show you that. It's kind of a neat way to keep track of what you're doing, especially if you're going to be growing, you know, trays in succession, trays, you know, over time. And then, you know, as I go forward here, a little messy here, but as I go forward, I've already accounted for tray 5, 6, 7, 8, and I'll continue to make these printouts and keep track of, you know, the trays as we go over the next several weeks. So anyways, let me take you back upstairs and I'm going to show you what we do to juice that tray right there, and we'll go from there. Okay, talk to you soon. Bye. Okay, so the next step is actually we're going to be harvesting our wheatgrass and getting it prepped for juicing. What you do here is you basically take a pair of scissors and you want to cut this thing down really as low to the ground as possible. Just take handfuls, working, you know, by rows here, and going ahead to cut it down just like you'd be doing if you were cutting your lawn outside, and saving the grass here, a little bit messy if you just hold it in clumps. So what we do is we go ahead and do all of the cutting before we actually do the juicing to get it prepped. You know, once you start your juicer, you don't want to be turning it on and turning it off, and or leaving it on for that matter for any extended period of time. So let me go ahead and I'll keep cutting this, and then we'll cut the shot and we'll show you exactly how we juice this stuff. Okay, so we've got all our grass cut. You can see here that we've cut it down, a little bit messy, and it's not a pretty cut, but that's okay. Now we're going to take this tray and we're going to put it back under the grow light. We can get a second growing, you know, second growth off of this. And you know, we keep this well watered, and water it probably once or twice a day. Let it grow again, and we'll cut it down. You don't want to go into a third cutting with this. You really only get 2 shots at it. Once we're done with this, we're going to take this and we're going to put it on our compost pile, and this will be used for supplementing our garden next season. So I'm going to turn on the juicer right now. We'll start juicing. Again, I want to just talk a little bit about the juicer. This is a auger style juicer. We don't use, typically with wheatgrass, you don't want to use a centrifugal style juicer. You want to use something of this style, something that's made to juice wheatgrass. Let me just take this apart for a second. So you can see here, it's an auger style. This has a tendency to actually chew, if you will, the wheatgrass, and it can handle it. A lot of the other centrifugal style juicers cannot handle the wheatgrass. They get clogged, and just not a good thing. So you definitely, if you're going to do wheatgrass, you've got to get yourself some kind of juicer that can handle actually juicing this stuff, because it's quite rough on the juicer. So anyways, let me turn this on. I might get a little noisy, but take you through what we do to juice this, and we'll show you how much juice we get out of this pile right here. Okay, you ready? Oops. There we go. Okay. All right, so what we do is we just take handfuls and little by little, you know, just handfuls like that. And put them in here. You hear that working hard there. That's why this type of juicer is so critical. You gotta have the right juicer. You can see it coming out the front. You definitely smell that. Okay. Actually, I'll use this here. All right, so, okay, so we're done juicing. As you can see here, hopefully you can see that. Now we've got our juice here. And let me show you how much we've got. I believe this is an 8-ounce cup. So, looks like we've got about 6 ounces of juice, which actually isn't too bad. That's why we only do the 10 by 10 trays. You could definitely go to the 10 by 20 trays and get, you'd get about I don't know, 12 ounces or so. But this is enough. You don't want to be drinking too much of this all at once anyways. So doing it every 5 days and doing, let's say, 3.5 ounces or so per person. I'm going to be drinking half of this, and then Trish is going to be drinking half of this. That's enough. And every 5 days, if you wanted to double it, I considered maybe doing 2 trays. I can get, and stagger it every 3 days, so every other day or so, every 3 days, I can actually go ahead and get a shot of this. So we drink this straight up just like it is. You could add this to, certainly, you could add carrot to this, or apple, or what have you. I like to drink it just like it is here. A little bit rough, but it's good for you. So anyways, that's it for today. Just wanted to say thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, please post them at the bottom of the video. Please like us on YouTube and Google+. That would be fantastic. I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll be talking to you guys very soon. Cheers.